information out there, and there's a lot of information out there these days on a lot of topics, so it's hard to get their attention.
So you're the current president of the League of Women Voters here in Fair Lawn. Well, when did you join and why?
Well, I joined 7 years ago. I actually had to look it up because I felt like I've been here forever. But I was looking for a stimulation outside of taking care of my children. So even though I had a full-time job, I knew that the amount of energy that I spent in being a parent was going to not be needed, and that I knew that I could serve the community in some way.
Because the kids are growing up.
Off to college. So, I just said that I need to be with people who are sort of like-minded or people who are intelligent. I mean, the women in the League of Women Voters and the men that we have, they're educated, they're interested, they want to learn more. They always want to learn. And to be in a community of those people is so energizing and so wonderful that, I just felt like I belonged in that group, and it gave me something to do. And like all volunteer organizations, it uses all my time.
It could be folks watching tonight who would like to know more about perhaps joining.
Right.
So let's begin by explaining that the title, League of Women Voters, is no longer absolutely 100% precise. Am I correct?
You are correct.
So if someone is watching and is not a woman, the invitation is still extended.
Yes, we take everybody that's over the age of 18, right? Citizens? Not citizens?
Yes.
As citizens.
You can be an associate member, not a citizen.
Right. We've had some student members that have been very involved. They're not official members, but they work for us sort of as interns, and it's enriching for them as well as for us to have their influence, their opinions. I also think another thing about the League that's very important is, especially now, to contrast it with the way it was when you guys were around. Not a lot of women were working out of the home. So this was a wonderful way to get out of the house, to have intellectual conversations with other women. Now, women go to work, a lot of them go to work outside the home, and they're involved all day long in all this work that has nothing to do with their community. So the League helps connect people like myself who are working away from the town I live in back to the community, and gives me a sense of knowing where I live, what my issues are. I think another mistake that people make is think that the most important election is the presidential election for the United States president. And the truth is that all politics comes down to local. And our job is to remind people locally what is important, what matters, and what's going to make a difference in their day-to-day life in the town they live in.
Fran, I touched upon this a little earlier, but I want to go back for a second to give you a chance to talk about why you joined the League of Women Voters and what voter service means to you.
Oh. Well, besides having the grassroots idea appeal to me, of course, it was a wonderful way to meet new people that I could. In fact, I made all my friends, all my friends through League. That wasn't my intention, and so it happened, and that part was wonderful.
And the voter service part?
The voter service part. As I said, what we do is conduct a forum for all the candidates for the municipal election, which happens every other year, and the Board of Education election, which is annual. And in addition to that, we take a full-page ad about each, and that includes each candidate with his or her bio, and responses to questions that we have posed to them. At the forum, after the candidates will give their autobiography and their philosophies, the audience may go ahead and question them, and this is very meaningful.
Yeah, it's a kind of an interesting thing, and I speak from my own experience. I'm not making this claim for other people, but I can certainly tell you that I'm not unique, and I know more about national politics, even state politics, very often than I know about what's going on right here in Fair Lawn, and yet the elections that happen in Fair Lawn are going to have much more to do with what happens day to day in my life here in town than anything else. So
I want to emphasize that the League studies and supports issues. We never support candidates. We are nonpartisan.
Right.
Well, kind of what Fran was saying, when you have the borough council, I wouldn't call it a debate, I guess, but the question and answer with the Borough Council, which is televised now through Fair Lawn Television, which is going to be broadcasting this program, so we thank them. But you can watch that at home now if you're a Fair Lawn resident, and get up to speed on what is going on in the town, what issues that might be of real importance to you are being debated, and where the candidates stand. And that's through the League of Women Voters. So you're still doing that locally.
Right.
Now, interestingly, for years, the national organization also did the same kind of thing on a national level, but that no longer happens.
Well, one of the women who worked with us, this was several years ago, came up with a question that I thought was perfect, and I have used it as often as I can without being that repetitious. It was the presidential election, was it 4 years ago? And her caption was, do you know that the candidates spend $1 billion for your vote? And of course, it's obvious. So get to the polls.
Right.
But yeah, we lost because the League of Women Voters nationally no longer. They chose not to be involved in televising the debates because they wanted to have control of the nonpartisan aspect of it. But I believe it was the television stations or other entities were getting involved in deciding how it was going to be run. And
there have been times when the league ran them.
They did, but they stopped doing it because they lost control of.
I think there were candidates who would no longer participate if the league ran them, which is an interesting commentary on where our politics has gone.
Like the league
subject for another conversation, I suppose.
But are you referring to the debates where the two major parties?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The two major parties.
Jane, let's come back to you. How long did your mom stay with the league? When did she? Was she still a member when she passed away?
Not quite, but almost.
Yeah.
Yes.
What year was that?
1987.
Yes.
And
so
so she was
that was the 50th anniversary of our
she was
league.
50 years. And how long have you been a member?
Counting the college league.
So ever since you've been a member all that time.
Yeah.
How many, Eileen? How many people in the league right now? And
We have
how many are there men who are part of the local?
Yeah, we have a couple gentlemen who join. We have about 25 members now. I'm not sure how many we had at the beginning, but
we at our peak we had about 150 members.
Right. Now
Women didn't work.
Right, but there are so many other things that compete for people's time today.
So let's give someone who's watching a little more information about how they could join. What do people do, and what do they get when they join?
You want to start with that, or?
Okay,
well,
it's open to the
this
three
is
of
the way
you.
I look at it. If we have a person who's interested in the league, then they're interested in the idea of educating the public. They're interested in becoming educated in their own community and learning about how a grassroots organization works. And we like to find people who are interested in being active, although we have some members who are. Do
they come to a meeting or?
Well, yeah, we have a regular members meeting about every month, and we talk about our current topics that we're studying. There are the state and national comes to us and says, we'd like you to study this and give us your consensus on these topics, and then they will bounce those up. For example, this year the state came to us and asked us to study the problem of human trafficking. And through their efforts and having leagues all over the state of New Jersey study this, and with a very specific set of questions that we needed to answer, they were able to bring that information, the problems of human trafficking, to the attention of the National League. And because of that, there is going to be someone at the national level lobbying on the national level, the government, to
lobbying Congress.
Yes, to do something about it. So from something as little as 25 people or 10 of us maybe sitting in a room and discussing this, multiplied by the 800 leagues in the nation, you can have an impact on government. Now, lobbying is a difficult thing to do, and it's hard, but what the league has been able to do is keep us in the news. With the way things have been going with voting rights, the league is more than ever in the news, and the need in certain states for the league to grow has become even more important.
Where are meetings held? When are they held?
The meetings are usually held, we've had some during the day, but we typically